Good morning. Let's make sure we're live everywhere. That we're supposed to be live. According to the YouTube dashboard, everything looks good. We'll go check out the video. We are. Happy Monday and happy April, artists. It's good to see you here in the studio. If this is your first month with us, because we have I don't know, about a dozen new students starting in April, want to welcome you. This will be the first live video that you see. I know that you should have gotten the welcome to the studio video, so hopefully you got that one, but this is the first of the weekly videos. You're going to get one from me every Monday from here until the end of the year. I'm wearing a green shirt today, which I normally don't do. It's going to be very distracting. I have to keep my sweatshirt buckled up because it messes with the green screen, right? But the Cubs have their home opener today, so I'm wearing my 120 Wrigley scoreboard sweatshirt or t-shirt. So that's gonna be really distracting. I'll keep that up. But anyways, if this is your first video, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to talk about everything that the kids are learning in classes this week. So if you're catching the replay, you can use the timestamps and just watch your kids section. I always recommend that you watch the intro, you watch the part about your kids' classes, and then you watch the housekeeping. And then you don't have, unless you want to see everything. Now it's the first day of the month, so I don't have any examples with me. A lot of times I'll show in progress work, but today I don't have anything. So we'll have stuff next week to show you. In the intro section, I want to just mention that everybody has class this week. A lot of times this is a time where I'll say like, oh, so-and-so, whatever class you have an off week or an off day. Everybody has class this week. It's first week of April. We started on Monday. It's as God intended. Everybody's got class. Looking ahead though, at the end of the month, you guys, look, I brought visual aids. Are you ready? This is what we need to know. The month of April has 5 Mondays. I'm always really bad at this. And 5 Tuesdays. Normally, for my drawing and my multimedia kids who take 4 time a month classes, on those fifths, we take it off. But I want to make sure you see in this calendar that we're not going to take those off. And the reason is because of May. So here's my other visual aid. This is May, guys. And I should have marked it. Hang on, look at this. That is Memorial Day right down here. Notice in the month of May, there are only 4 Mondays. And so unless my Monday artists meet on Memorial Day, which we're not going to, their last class would have to be in June. We don't want to do because, summer has started and we're ready to move on. So in order to get 4 classes in before Memorial Day, these 2 days down here, the 29th and the 30th, those are the first day of May classes. If you're a Monday and Tuesday drawing and multimedia student, that's what you need to know. We'll talk about it every single meeting from here on out, or every single weekly video from here on out. This does not affect anything to do with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday kids. This does not affect my preschool people, nothing. If you're in preschool, you're in creative explorations, you don't need to worry about this. But if you're in a Monday or a Tuesday drawing class, please note, we will not take that 5th week off. We will be here and we'll start our May classes. Okay. Also, just a note and a reminder, some of you have heard this and you're tired of me saying it. It's not like willy-nilly. We're just like, you know what, let's go ahead and have class. We decide the schedule like the previous summer. The schedule is written. It's put in the Sawyer system. So when you register for classes, your class dates are already set. You're actually on the registration page by clicking the little calendar icon and see all of those. If you didn't look when you registered, it's okay. They populate into a calendar for you inside your Sawyer registration. And if you need to know how to get that, there's a web page just for you. You go to the Orange Easel page, you scroll to the bottom, and there's a link that says for current students. It says makeups, class schedules, and more. And you click it, and it'll tell you how to get your schedule. Okay. Or you can just watch the videos. It's fine. Okay. That's all. Moving on. Preschool art classes. So it is the month of April. We're all about impressionism and nature art and fiber arts this month. We're going to read Make Way for Ducklings. We're going to read Ferdinand, and we're going to read Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. Those are our books for the month of April. Now, a little confusing, but not too bad. Too bad. Normally, both studios are doing the exact same thing. just for the first week of April, we're going to flip-flop. And for the first 2 weeks, Flatwoods and Liberty are going to flop lessons. And the reason for that is one of our arrival activities that goes with Ferdinand is hammering flowers. So we get fresh flowers and we put out paper on the floor and the kids hammer them, and they make a really great messy print. A lot of like core stability and gross motor, and they're hammers, which is awesome. First couple of years we used real hammers. It was not good on the floor. So now we have rubber mallets, but we only have 12 rubber mallets. So we only have enough for like for one class. We the only time we use the rubber mallets is once a year in April. So I didn't feel like I needed to invest in a set for each studio. So that's why. So Liberty this week we'll read Ferdinand, we'll pound on some flowers, and we're gonna make perfumes. Flatwoods this week is like reading Make Way for Ducklings, and they are going to do a chalk pastel still life drawing of flowers, and then they will make a collage project all about ducks. Next week we'll flip-flop. We will give the hammers to Flatwoods, and then next year we'll be like, who has the hammers? That's how it always works. So in case you were wondering, that's what's happening in the preschool classes this month. Okay. And then chicka chick boom boom, we can just all do together. It'll be great. Okay. Multimedia classes. So if you are in K1st, second, third, or K3rd classes, it is Fiber Arts Month for you guys. And we are going to be doing a sewing project. So we're doing monster stuffies, which we did last year, but we did it as a 4th and 5th grade and a homeschool project. So we bumped it down to this group. We think they can handle it. So they're going to learn some hand sewing. Not machine sewing, hand sewing. So they'll learn a running stitch or a whip stitch to sew together their little monster stuffies. This week, we're just designing. The stuffies are made out of felt. They're 12 by 12 pieces of felt of different colors. And then we sew using real needles and crochet thread. So this week, they're going to design everything on paper. They're going to create their like pattern template. And they're going to choose their felt pieces. And then magically, the studio elves will cut out all their pieces for them. So by the time they show up for week 2 classes, all of their monster pieces that they designed will be ready to sew. So we don't have them do the cutting for many reasons. Cutting fabric isn't easy, and it's easier if you have really nice sewing scissors, which we do, but we only have about 3 pair per studio. So, and I just don't feel like we should invest in 12 pair. So anyways, so the instructors take care of cutting it for them, and then they can do the sewing part. Okay. That's it for them. This is a super cute project. Lots of patience though with sewing. Next week, we'll learn all of the stitching, and we'll learn how to thread a needle and tie a knot. Okay. 4th and 5th in homeschool. I should have brought the example for you guys because otherwise I'm going to be like, picture this, but I don't have it. So picture this. They have an embroidery project. So we have embroidery hoops. They're 8-inch embroidery hoops. They have muslin fabric already in them. We've prepped them. We've already glued the fabric in so it doesn't pull out. And that's ready to go. They are going to be doing embroidery, and we've done embroidery before. Actually, last year, the K1st, 2nd, 3rds did embroidery projects on burlap, which is easier to see through. 4th and 5th are doing it on muslin, so you can't see through it. We'll use a sharper needle to poke through. Their subject is a garden, so like sprigs of flowers that grow up from the bottom, and it is a dimensional project. So they will actually sew over the top of a hot glue design, which is really cool. So you actually draw your design on the muslin using hot glue. And of course, the bead of hot glue dries dimensionally. And then you take an embroidery floss, which comes in amazing colors, and they will sew back and forth over the top to cover the hot glue. And so when they finish, their embroidery design is like, it's puffy, which is so cool. A couple cool things we found with this: having the hot glue on there gives them like a light bulb moment for like filling in a space. right? Instead of just a line, it becomes a back and forth and it fills in. So so I'm excited to see how the kids love it. Teachers had a great time doing it. This week's step is simply designing their garden, putting the hot glue on the muslin, and then we're going to paint our backgrounds. And so we're going to actually dye the fabric with liquid washable watercolors with a wet on wet technique. So it's got a really like washy, ethereal background. And then they'll, again, just like the K first, second, thirds, they will start their sewing in week 2. This week is just getting everything prepped and designed. They'll also get to like paint the outside of their hoop and that kind of stuff. 6th, 7th, and 8th through 12th is doing needle felting. This is our 3rd year doing felting. Our 1st year we did flat jellyfish designs felted on embroidery hoops. And then last year was the 1st year we did a 3-dimensional figure. They had to choose like an animal and it had a foam core and then felt all the way around it. This year we've eliminated the foam core. We're trying something a little bit different. It is all felt and it is a butterfly. So they will design their felted butterfly as a 3-dimensional sculpture made completely out of wool roving. Those of you who aren't familiar with needle felting, it is carded wool or wool roving, so soft, fluffy. Picture like what goes in the inside of your pillows, except it's probably not poly. It's, like, I shouldn't say that. Inside your pillows is probably poly, not wool, but it's that kind of fluffy cloud-like fabric. And you can just take it and pull it apart. That's what wool looks like when it's wool roving. Maybe a little bit stringier unless it's carded wool, but we get that. And then you kind of push it together on itself and you take a barbed needle and you stab your carded wool or your wool roving over and over and over. And that barbed needle, as it goes in and it pulls out, it tangles together all of the fibers. So over and over and over again, you stab it. It's called needle felting. And then this becomes a packed 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional. You could like on a shirt or a jacket that's made out of wool or felt, you can actually felt a design onto a 2-dimensional surface as well. But we're going to be building 3-dimensional fabrics. So we have foam bases for them to stab into. And then so they'll roll their little like a finger size, like mini hot dog, butterfly body this week, and then begin designing their wings. We will do all of the pieces separate. So they'll do their body, they'll do 2 wings, and then we'll felt them together and add some like wire antennas and wire legs so they stand up. It's a super fun project. And I think needle felting has been super popular the last 2 years. So we're excited to get to do it with them again. There's some really amazing focused work time that happens with needle felting. So that's coming up. We also stock up on Band-Aids because when you poke yourself with a needle, it hurts. You try not to. Creative explorations classes. So you guys are also doing fiber arts. And you'll do a little bit of all the stations. So all those projects that we listed, the sewing, the embroidery, and the felting, those are all things that are available to our creative explorations kiddos. Now, I don't teach these classes. And so when it comes to like needle felting, which is a stab, 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 some people can handle it. Like some artists are ready for that. It takes a certain maturity to handle a barbed needle. And some cannot. So we will leave that up to the individual instructors on whether that is an option for their classes. But something like sewing or embroidery or weaving are things that will be available in the stations for these groups. Things like for the 4th and 5th in homeschool, when they're dyeing their fabric with wet on wet, that's a process that is very friendly, and it's fun to see, fabric change colors almost like a tie-dye. Just the fiber arts, and our I think our fundamentals have that in their curriculum this month too. So we'll have all of those things for them. We also really love like braiding or friendship bracelets is a great fiber arts project. Weaving is a good fiber arts project for the month of April. So those will all be available. I believe the sensory station is water beads. So those are always fun. If we're getting to nicer weather, Yay. So there's a chance, like, especially for this station-based class for creative explorations, that we're able to open up our outside areas. Water beads are great outside as opposed to being inside. So should be a really fun spring and lots of great stations for them to explore. Creative explorations people, you meet the first 3 days of the month, and then your 4th is off. That's your April schedule. Drawing classes. So last month, all of our drawing classes did showcase pieces. So I was able to keep everybody all lumped together, and I really didn't have a lot to tell you, but hopefully you saw those come home. If you didn't finish your showcase piece because you missed a class or you just worked really hard on it and it took a lot of time and you still need some more time, make sure you sign up for a makeup session. And then again, if those makeup sessions times don't work for you, talk to your instructor or send me a message and we'll figure out alternatives for you to come in and get that project done. We would really love to send you home with something special. Drawing 101 classes, you guys are back to benchmarks. So those of you who have been with us the entire year, in September, we do benchmark lessons and we revisit those in April. And that gives us like bookends for the year. Hopefully we see some growth. Sometimes it might be huge marked growth. Sometimes maybe it's just small little tweaks and things that you've done. But there's nothing wrong with repeating a lesson. There's a lot of comfort in that because there's no surprises. Like, you get to do it again. We're going to start with and I should have brought my visual aids, but if you remember back in September, we've got those white geometric forms, the 3-dimensional geometric forms. It has a cone, a cylinder, a rectangular prism, a sphere, and they're white. So we set them up in observational drawings. For our younger kids, a lot of times we're only drawing one item. As we get more advanced, we put items together into a still life so that you can get relative scale. With our 101s, we're looking for contour, scale, perspective, which is huge, right? We've had a couple perspective drawing lessons in the last year, that 1 point or that 2 point perspective. And then we're beginning to see values. We're not expecting huge things for our 101s, but we want to see where's the light, where's the dark. May not get all the midtones, but where's the light, where's the dark, and how do I begin to render those? So drawing 101s will be doing that in pencil, possibly charcoal, just because it's easier to fill a space with charcoal than it is with pencil, because you can do that fun little smearing trick. So that'll be 101's lesson for this week. Our drawing 10, and if you weren't here in September, so if you're like, well, but it's okay, because then it just establishes a new benchmark. And so it's not a test, it's a starting point. And every time you do it, it's a starting point. And it's just a kind of way to see where you're at. Drawing 102 advanced realistic, same exact thing as 101. So you guys are doing those 3D geometrical forms. I have to repeat myself because I think maybe you just watched this timestamp and I don't want you to be like, what? So those 3D geometric forms that are white, right? Rectangular prism, cone, cylinder, sphere, cube. We're going to set those up. For our 102 advanced realistic, they will be set up next to each other. So that way we can get relative positioning and scale. We can also start to move ones really, really close to us and ones further away. So we can work on perspective. Even though you've done this lesson before, you move them and then you get a brand new assembly, like a brand new drawing and new challenges. We could turn them so we get some foreshortening, which would be crazy hard. You can also, as we've gotten later in the year, we can pull out viewfinders because we've seen those before. And we can start to work on composition, which is something we didn't work on at the beginning of the year. We just worked on getting the drawing done. But now how do you compose this as a finished drawing instead of as a sketch? So that'll be 102 advanced realistics. Again, graphite and charcoal is your media for this week. 102 comic and cartoon, guess what? You're doing the same thing as 101 and 102 advanced realistic, but with a twist, right? Because your value scale is not rendered with graphite or with charcoal. Your value scale is always rendered with ink. That's what we do with comic drawing. So our 3D forms, the cylinder, the cube, the prism, the sphere, the cone, all of those, just like the 102 advanced realistics, we're going to set them up in groupings so that you have relative scale and relative perspective. Put something really close to you, put something pretty far away, something behind it, turn it so it's foreshortened. All sorts of great challenges that we can do with these very simple shapes, because we want to get perspective, we want to get composition, and we want to get value. So the Comic 102 cartoon group, you guys should be super experienced if you've been with us the year on line weight, on scrumbling, on stippling, and on cross hatching. So we're looking for all of those things to show up in this very simple drawing. By removing a challenging subject matter and drawing something very simple, we want to see super awesome technique. Drawing 103 advanced or drawing 103 classes. So if you're in 103, unlike 102, where we're doing a very lesson-based curriculum, 103 classes are project-based. We assume that you have most of the lessons, that you've been here and you've done a perspective lesson, you've done an inking lesson, you've done a value lesson, you've learned how to use chalk pastels. Like, so the expectation is that you kind of already have those under your belt. We still have mini lessons that we do. And of course, there's still lots of individual instruction and we can help out with things. But the bulk of our 90-minute class is spent on projects. So it's from start to finish, creating your own composition, sketching it, getting feedback, making sure that it's what you want, and finishing it all the way through. 103 advanced realistic classes. You guys this month are be doing botanicals. So we actually have some bouquets of flowers for you to reference. They can also go to, Google Images. So if you're like, I really want to draw a Venus flytrap, Salison doesn't have one of those, although I wouldn't be opposed to it. So like, if you really wanted to draw that, we'd have to go to Google Images. But I do have some bouquets of flowers here in the studio for them to look at. And of course, all of the plants around that they can look at for references. It's not a still life drawing necessarily. I want them to look at these either images or from life and create their own composition from it. We're looking for something that takes up the entire space and has a good balance of positive and negative space. If you watched the videos last month and we learned about note and designs, this is a great trick for our drawing 103s to also employ those techniques in order to establish like positive and negative space and balance. So we're looking for about 50-50. But they will draw their botanicals, figure out what your botanicals are. You have to sketch out your composition. They will be finishing their drawings with ink, which is new for this group because everything we've done so far has been chalk pastel, colored pencil, graphite, or charcoal. So we're moving into ink, but not in a comic style. So we're still going to employ some of the same techniques like line weight and scrumbling and stippling and cross hatching, but we're looking for a realistic style drawing. So they'll be using microns, a lot of them. Some of them might use the fine point or the ultra fine point Sharpies, but most of our kids will probably go with the microns. Some of them might really love a glass mono weight pen. Then we have those somewhere around here. They stay in the office for safety reasons, but we have the glass pens. So they might really love that as a technique. And then we'll use like Sumi ink. And then the backgrounds of our pictures will be solid colors. Yeah, I can't even think. Solid colors. And we'll let them choose their media for their solid colors. So they can use, we would really love them to actually use the alcohol ink markers, but if they don't love that, they could use colored pencils, or I guess they could use the chalk pastels. They'd have to really be careful to keep it inside their lines. And then my 103 comic and cartoons, I have to look at my notes because there's a word here I have to make sure that I say correctly. Are you ready? Grace is going to tell me if I say it wrong. So our comic style drawing classes are creating anthropomorphic. Did I say it right? Anthropomorphic characters. And so this is a combination of human characteristics with animal characteristics, and they come together. These characters, it's not just a like Wikipedia page and you have a portrait of a character. That's not what this is. This is putting them in a scene. They should have clothing on. It should tell a story of them attending a special event or going to a special event. Like it should have a story just in that one picture. So anthropomorphic characters. We create one, dress it, and put it in a scene. That's the plan. And then of course we want to see all of their skills that they normally use, right? So line weight and stippling and scrumbling. And these guys are amazing with alcohol ink markers. So they're just pros at them. All right, couple housekeeping things, and then I will let everybody go. Are you ready? Let me find my housekeeping notes. All right, arts show submissions. They begin today. I activated the form on the website today. So we will have that in the email that we send with this video. You can also just go to the website, orangeeaselart.com/art show. And it'll have all the information about the show, like the when and the where and the how and all the things. It'll have all the information about the awards and the grading, the rubric. It'll have the form that you fill out to submit your art. Anything and everything is on that one web page. But the deadline, and this is what I really want to make sure everybody knows, the deadline is the 12th. So that is not this Friday, but next Friday. It's just shy of 2 weeks. Okay, so you've got to get it in. It's not a soft deadline. This is a hard deadline. I will be working all weekend on the 12th, like after the 12th, all weekend on getting the digital stuff done, because I've got to get programs created and slideshows created and things sent off to printers. So that is a hard deadline. We will also be working over that weekend to prep stuff for the show. So we got to prep things so that they're ready to hang, that kind of stuff. Okay. So please, we got to make gallery tags and print gallery tags and cut out gallery tags and get gallery tags ready for mounting and match gallery tags with artwork. Like, it is a huge job. So this is a hard deadline. You have to get your stuff in. Please don't like make me be a bad guy and be like, nope, sorry, too late. I don't want to do that. So make sure you hit this deadline. You can bring, it's a 2-step process. You have to fill out the form and then you have to bring us your artwork. That's it. Fill out the form, bring us your artwork. You can't just bring us artwork because we can't exhibit it if it doesn't have a form that goes with it. And forms are all online this year. And you can't just fill out a form and not drop off artwork. You have to do both. Okay, fill out a form, drop off the artwork. That's all we need. When you drop it off, you want to make sure your artwork is super well labeled. The submission form, the online form, does ask you to take a picture of your artworks. That way, if we can't match a form with a piece of art because the name isn't on it, that photo is our kind of like our backup plate. Okay, so fill out your form, drop off your artwork. You can drop off artwork anytime that we are open. I know for some people, although probably not you guys because you take classes here, but for some people that's really confusing. Like, when are you open? I come by and you're never open. And I'm sorry that people feel that way. I feel like I'm always here. But that is true. We are closed a lot of times in the middle of the afternoons. We're closed because we don't have classes going on unless we have a homeschool class. But we're here, at least for the next 2 weeks, we're here every single morning for preschool classes. Like, the front door's locked right now here in Liberty because I'm live on YouTube. But as soon as I'm done here, I'll go open it. The best thing you can do is like bring it when classes are in session, because anytime we have classes, you can stop in and just drop stuff off. Okay. Friday the 12th, though, you guys, if you wait until Friday the 12th, we're not here until like 8 p.m. or anything. Like, you can't be like, I got to run up the art show stuff at 8 o'clock at night. Liberty will be here on the 12th. We've got classes going on until 6:30. And then like they'll be gone shortly thereafter. Okay. Platwoods has makeups on that Friday night. So that starts at 5 and technically goes till 8. But if nobody's signed up for a makeup past 7, like, they take off. So I would really just say have it in before the 12th. And then you don't have to worry about when we're going to be here on Friday. Although as we get closer to time, I will probably publish actual times and be like, this is your window if you're last minute. But just don't wait till the 12th. Okay. All right. Junior staff applications. So this is all online. You don't need me in the studio at all. Deadline is 4/15. So if you got a student who is graduating 5th grade and they want to come be a teen staff member this summer, volunteer to help us out with at least one camp. They help with setup. They help with arrival. They help with the games. They are amazing peer models. They still get to do the projects, except, you don't pay to send them to camp, which is kind of nice. They do have responsibilities. So like The responsibilities of work come before me making my art project. But there's still plenty of time for them to get some fun creative time in. They help with cleanup, which is huge at the end of every day of camp. If I've got 3 instructors versus having 3 instructors and 3 teens, like we can cover things so much faster in terms of getting people out of here in 15 or 30 minutes instead of 2 hours after camp. So so we love having their help, and the kids love them too, right? Teen helpers are so much cooler than all of your Orange Easel instructors. So they go through an application process. So if you're applying, they go through an application process, they go through an interview process, and then they get a job offer letter email from me. The application and the interview and the offer letter, you guys, is for their benefit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love free labor. And so it's for my benefit too. But the reason we have this process is for their benefit, is because they need the experience of interviewing, right? They need the experience of filling out an application. We want to give that to them. At our core, we are a teaching studio. So that's what I want to give them. After the interview is over, we will go over, we'll be like, hey, the interview's done. Let me tell you how you did. And we'll give them feedback from somebody who loves them, right? I would love their first experience of going through a job application to be with people who, from love, will tell them how they did, right? Because they're nervous enough as it is. So it's easier to interview with somebody that you know has your best interest at heart. And then I also have a huge passion for people having an experience working someplace that is positive and healthy, that treats them with respect. And I feel like we're that place. I want them to know how somebody should treat them when they come to work. So that when we send them off into the world, they can be like, that's not right. And they can advocate for themselves. Okay. Enough on that. Talk about that for a long time. All right, April 29th and April 30th. This is a review from the introductions. But if you missed that in the intro, let me say it again. At the end, wait, let me get my visual aids. At the end of the month of April, there are 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, that are the 5th Monday and the 5th Tuesday. You see those? Normally we would take those off. We are not taking them off this month because in the month of May, there are only 4 Mondays. The 4th one is Memorial Day, and nobody wants to come to class on Memorial Day or the first week of June. And then on Tuesday, nobody wants to come to class after Memorial Day. We want to be done. So, we're gonna, in order to wrap up all of our multimedia and drawing classes, our May classes actually start on the 29th of April. Okay. So if you're in a Monday or a Tuesday multimedia or drawing class, those are my 4 time a month classes. You guys start your May curriculum that last Monday, Tuesday of April. Okay. You're not taking them off. If you are in a like 3 time a month class, like creative explorations or fundamentals, you don't need to worry about it. Does not affect you. Your May classes will happen in May. If you're in a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday class, does not affect you. Your May classes will happen in May. Monday and Tuesday, people. We'll talk about it in every video leading up to this. Okay. All right, people. That is all I have for you. That was a lot of notes. Thank you for sticking with me. Thanks for listening. I can't wait to see our art show stuff come in. That's like a highlight. We are working hard behind the scenes to get everything ready and to put on a really great event for you guys. So I hope you can see it. We did have some people ask about RSVPing. You don't need to RSVP. In past years, we have had you RSVP so that we could give a head count to the event space, but we are good at this event space. There's plenty of room. We're not serving like lots of food, just some cookies and punch, so it'll be just fine. All right. Hope to see everybody. If you need anything from me, I'm here at the Liberty Studio, and the best way to reach me is with an email. Talk to you later.